we're going to go ahead and get started. So Kyle and I would like to welcome everybody to the Speaking with KPeasey, which is now a series. With our second one, we can now call this a series. We enjoyed having so many of you with us a few weeks ago. And very shortly, we'll introduce you to our very special speakers this evening.
Lord, why don't you come say hi?
Some very good friends of ours. But Kyle, I'll let you say hello real quick.
Yeah, hey everybody. I hope everybody is staying safe out there and that you enjoy quarantine to the best of your ability. And we are so glad that you are here tonight with us with a very, very special friend of ours.
So we'll introduce you guys to Marin and Greg Smith. Marin is a KPeasey Athlete and supporter, and she's also an author, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight. We've got her book here, and we'll post a link to that as well in the end, towards the end here. But Greg, her father, we met back in 2012, and I'd love for Greg to share this story because I think it just reflects so well what so many of our families and parents deal with. And Greg, you actually met our father at a party, and I'll let you share a little bit about that story if you don't mind.
Yeah, so thanks, Brent, and thanks, Kyle. So I met Dick Pease, Kyle and Brent's dad, back at a cocktail function at Ansley Golf Club.
Uh-oh. We get a Zoom freeze.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're back.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So I met Dick, and we were just talking, and somehow the conversation turned to Marin, and I think it was 2011 actually.
I was 3 years.
Marin was 3 years old, and you know, I was talking about Marin, and the topic of cerebral palsy came up, and Dick Pease was just listening so intently, and I must have overshared in that conversation, and Dick basically said to me, he's like, "Hey Greg, I just want you to let you know that it's going to be okay." And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I don't really know you, and how would you know? And then he's like, let me tell you about my family. So I of course monopolized the conversation, as I always do, talking about myself. And Dick then shared about Kyle and Brent and Evan and Janice and the whole family, and shared with me Kyle's story about growing up and going through college and working at Publix and having multiple jobs, and I really didn't I don't think I'd ever met or seen Kyle before, so it was really for me it was pretty inspirational type of story. And after that I was like, he's like, "Hey, I'd love to introduce you guys to Kyle and his brother Brent, who lives here in Atlanta," and kind of the rest is history.
And thank you, Greg. So we didn't give you the in-depth introduction that we did for Marin, but I thought that was just such a wonderful way that it all came together, and so many families, when they are learning and experiencing disabilities or even wondering what inclusion might look like, it can be a really overwhelming experience. And my dad kind of injecting himself or telling Greg that everything was going to be okay turned into this conversation, which spilled over to a bar where Kyle and I sat with Greg and had wings and beer. Greg was not an athlete at the time, and it was really just a conversation. Marin's laughing because she knows where this is going, but we're getting
Daddy
to you, Marin.
Daddy was a little heftier and not in shape.
Don't worry, Marin. I got some pictures for you, Marin, so don't worry. So, but Kyle, maybe if you and Greg want to talk a little bit about that conversation that we all shared together.
Yeah, I just remember we were kind of outside going in. And Greg was there with the family, and we couldn't really hear the bar, so we went outside for a couple minutes. The whole family. That's where I met Marin, and I'll let her tell her story in a minute because it's very inspiring to me. But I told Greg he would get to ask about the foundation, and honestly, the foundation was in the very beginning stages. So I would just try to get him involved. A quick 2-minute elevator speech on why KPF was important to me. And then I said, I don't know why I said this, but I just said, one day you're going to race with us. And he kind of laughed it off and shrugged it off. Greg, do you remember that conversation?
No, I remember the conversation being like, "Hey, Greg, you should come run a 5K with us," because at the time
Well, we're getting them back here. Sounds like they've got a little connection there. I want to pull up a photo. So that conversation led to what became the first 5K with Marin. So Marin, can you see that? Yeah, there it is. So Marin was. Were you 4, Marin?
She was almost. She wasn't quite 4 there. She was 3.5, almost 4.
So Marin, do you remember this race?
No.
So this was the Summerfest 5K, which used to be a really big race for the foundation. And so your dad brought you out in the bob that you're sitting in, and he fed you your breakfast first. But don't worry, we used to always laugh at Kyle's nutrition. So we had you eating your waffle. You had to be out there at like 6:30 in the morning. But you know, it was a really fun experience for Kyle and I, because it took us a long time before we found families that wanted to do what we were doing. And you know, Marin, I'm not sure if you realize this, but you were one of the very first families that we ever got to race with. And in this picture actually is somebody that's also very special to the foundation. That's Jake Vinson, who was the very first KPF athlete. And we have an award and a grant. We have a grant named after him. So you and your dad ran with us, and obviously Kyle and I had graduated from waffles to fancy Oakleys and brand advisors. But I don't know, do you remember what you said to your dad after the race?
I don't know.
Well, Greg, why don't you share with us that conversation that you had with Marin that evening?
Oh man, I think that. Okay. So if you may have to jog my memory, but I do remember she's like, "Go faster," and which is typically what she will say. And you know, she basically said, "I want to keep racing with you." You probably remember the words a lot better than I do.
Well, what I remember is that she told you that she loved to go fast with her daddy, and she wanted to do more races with you and Kyle. And Marin, this is wonderful stuff, because you know, you sharing that with us was special for me and Kyle, because you know, we didn't realize how hard it was to have a nonprofit and to find people to share that with. And you know, you used to bring a very bright smile into those early races. And you know, if you look at this picture, and then I can pull it up here in a little bit, but if you look at the picture from Publix this year, you know, we had more than 60 wheelchairs. And to think that in just a few short, you know, in 7 years, in all the years that we've known you, you've helped share this story and share it with so many wonderful people. And you've graduated too. You don't eat waffles before races, and you have fancy race chairs that you and your dad run in together now. But those were some special days. So, but Greg, you broke out your old bike, and there's the whole family there from that early morning.
Yep, that was on the Publix corner one year.
Yep. So this is Marin. This is your first triathlon.
So there's Marin in her first triathlon.
But I've got.
Good.
Kyle,
did you hear what she just said? Did you hear what she just said? She's like, "Dad, you actually look good there."
You actually look good.
Hey, Marin, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Like, where did you go to school? What do you like to do when you're not racing?
So Kyle asked, what do you like to do when you're not racing?
I don't know, just normal kid stuff. Watch TV, read,
Theater.
I like riding horses, swimming, all the normal stuff kids do.
And racing.
Yeah, racing's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And you go to Pace Academy, correct?
Correct.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 5th grade.
Okay. How do you like your school and your classmates?
I love my school. I love my teachers. I love all my friends. I really like school.
And when you race, how does it make you feel?
It kind of makes me feel happy, even with my dad.
Good. Good. And what was your favorite race?
Please.
Yeah, what was your favorite race that you have done with the foundation? And why?
I don't know if this counts, but maybe last year's pace race that we did. Like,
That's because she won when the block.
Yeah.
She did. I can find that photo too.
All right, take it away, Britt.
No, so Marin, so when you said that you enjoyed, this is from 2014. So you were 6 years old
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
I guess
Yep.
5, 6, yeah.
with your new fancy race chair that you and your family helped fundraise for. Can you see your face there?
Yes, I can.
Would that be a pretty good description of how you feel when you're racing? Do we freeze again? So this was a photo from one of the early years with Marin, and this is a pretty good illustration of her smile when she's racing. Greg, maybe tell us a little bit about that first triathlon that you guys did together. I'll pull that finisher photo with y'all with your medals back up there.
Yeah, so that was I think that was the summer. I think it was it was either the fall of 2012 or the spring of 2013.
This was
Actually,
spring.
I think that was the spring of 2013. It was the John Tanner sprint trot.
Yep. And we have your 2012 photo here as well with Marin's fancy hair.
Marin and I did the duathlon together, which was a run bike run, and it was a really good race. I mean, we raced really fast and hard, and it was fun because Marin and I on the bike, I think we averaged like 17 miles an hour on the bicycle. So she was flying in the recumbent bike sitting behind me, and she got the pedal. So that's my original 10-speed bike from like 20 some odd years ago.
Really?
Yep. And I still have that bike. And so she and I were flying by a ton of people on the bike leg. And I think we beat we probably came in, top 25% of all the field. So it felt great that she got to she was flying down the highway, blowing by people and telling them to go faster. It was hysterical.
I was?
You were.
What?
She said, "Keep it up, go faster."
I did?
Yep.
Well,
Marin, we'll have to get you back out for another triathlon, and maybe you and Kyle can ride in the boat next to each other.
So,
Okay.
so Mary, we have a question from Katie. How long have you been participating in races?
Since I was 3, actually.
So that's how many years?
7 years. Or 8
8
years. 8
Good
years,
work
yeah.
on the math there, Dad. Good work on the math. Nice lesson.
Well,
So-
actually, she's technically correct because we haven't. I don't think we've raced during her 11th year this year. So we got to get at it.
Hopefully we'll all be able to get out there soon. So John Tanner was pretty amazing, and we talked a little bit about how Publix, how Marin, how you and your family and Dad helped us grow that race to what it is now. Can you tell us a little bit about this special project, Marin?
So that's our book, and my sister wrote an outline for that book, and
lost her there. So it's called We Wouldn't Have It Any Other Way. And we've been doing children's books each year. So this is Lauren, Marin's older sister, helped put this together. And it's got some wonderful stories about her family and inclusion and their racing. And Kyle even made an appearance here in the book. I think his illustrations are in there. But it's just a wonderful way to share with your kids and families about inclusion and to learn more about amazing athletes like Marin. So Greg, this, probably for you and Marin maybe to answer this. So as my dad told you when you had a 3-year-old daughter that everything was going to be okay, I know we've got some parents joining us tonight. What would be the advice you would tell a younger you, or Marin, what would you tell somebody that's 3 years old learning that they have different abilities to share?
Dad,
Well,
you go first.
I think that the advice that Dick Pease gave me was pretty safe. Bumps in the road, and as
Go ahead, Kyle.
most of the families here have gone through many surgeries and different challenges, but over the course of time, if things do work out, and you just got to keep plugging forward. And I think Marin has been a great testament to tenacity and the ability to just be working hard and focused, and quite honestly being happy. I think that's choosing to look at the bright side of things, no matter what the circumstances are. One of Marin's superpowers.
Marin, do you have something you'd like to add to a young you?
Maybe just make the best of it. Like, you could do a lot of things that maybe other people can't, and see it a different way.
And Marin, you do some stuff that a lot of people definitely can't. You do some acting, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I would say just do what you love. You can see things a different way, and that's what makes you special. And you can do anything.
Greg, I'm going to pull out your heart, please, for a minute. What does Marin mean to you and to your family?
Well, I think before Marin was born, I certainly had no awareness of folks with disabilities, and obviously with Marin joining us and coming to our lives, it changed everything, and it really it was I'm blessed by the whole thing, because it really opened up my eyes as to all of the possibilities out there for people that were different from me. That like Cal, you said it best over the years, like everybody's got a gift, and I think it kind of opened up my eyes to the gifts that people do have and the abilities that they do have, no matter what they are. So it really changed the way I thought about a lot of different things, and the tying it back to what we do for fun, which is racing. It's given us the ability to do things together, and also to do things sometimes as a family. We've had the good fortune of, like, Lauren several years ago at one of the Virginia Highlands Summerfests pushed Marin with all of us, Christy, myself, Graham, all running in the Summerfest 5K, but it was Lauren who was providing the legs to Marin in the wheelchair push. And, it's just it's really been a special thing for us. And it's kind of, it's been it's really been an outlet for Marin and me to do things together. We probably need to race more than what we have been recently, but, we always look forward to getting on. And like last weekend, we took a wheelchair and went running for 5 miles. We hadn't done that in a long, long time. And it was just awesome to be out there running around Piedmont Park, with everybody else, just getting some fresh air. Yeah, we had to keep waiting for Graham, who was trying to run with us, but sometimes one sibling gets to go a little faster.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, but me and Mary, besides the great athletes, me and Mary, we have something else in common that we are both Twitch. So
That's right.
there was another way that we bonded, and so that was really cool. Mary, a question that came up is, what advice would you give to like your classmates if they're struggling with math or whatever might be going on in their lives? What advice would you tell them?
I'm not sure. Maybe just keep trying. You can do it. Like, never give up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple other questions here, but I want to just bring up one more thing because Greg and I have talked about this a lot, and we both have some shared experiences ourselves, just drawing energy and power. Since we've heard so many stories, I'll skip a couple of good things. But Greg decided after he started racing with Marin that he would follow Kyle's footsteps and he would take on an Ironman himself. And a couple of things happened, but Greg, maybe share some of the quick version of what happened and how Marin and Kyle and so many of the families from KPF can provide a lot to us.
Well, after Marin and I were doing a ton of races together, so after Kyle and Brent did Ironman Wisconsin in September of 2013, it kind of spurred me to want to do that. And leading up into my first one, which was in the summer of 2014, I ended up breaking my collarbone 3 weeks before the race, and that was my first one. And so, because because Marin and Kyle have inspired me to never give up. I kind of had the harebrained scheme that I'd be able to do an Ironman with one arm. So you can see the pictures here, me doing the run with a sling on my shoulder, but I managed to take the inspiration of don't quit and keep moving forward from Marin and from Kyle and from all the athletes that race with us to just go for it, which was the absolute awesomest thing, but it also was the absolute stupidest thing that I've ever done. And I don't think I could do it again. I'm not sure I'd want to do it again, but I always, as I do some of these long distance races on my own, I always, keep Marin and all the athletes that we serve the foundation in the back of my mind, especially when I'm on the back half of the marathon, which is always the dark place, which keeps me moving forward to get to the goal line.
Thank you. That's awesome. So Kyle, Marin, I hope you guys know that. A couple of questions. Greg, this is for you and Marin. How do you feel KPF has helped you prepare for life or for school, life and school?
I'm not, Dad.
I think it's really, what we do is about, from a foundation standpoint, it's, about serving others, so I think, it's been really a blessing for me to get involved with everybody and all the friendships that we've created throughout the, all of the athlete families. That's something that's incredibly special, both the, our in-chair athletes and their parents and their friends. It's really become a community. So that's been, a really important part of our lives together. And, I think just the all of the challenges that the families and the in-chair athletes deal with in life and, racing day to day plus, during the races, it gives you perspective on just how to move forward throughout, we're all going through challenges right now. And, I get to, personally go into the reserve well of all those experiences and just keep moving forward and keep trying. I think Marin, you get to do a lot, through all the surgeries, you know how to suffer like the best of us. And, so Marin has gone through, many, many surgeries, as many of the families that we serve here on the web chat here. I think it's just, it's really understanding how to push through the pain, both, physical and mental. So, there's a lot of learnings that we get, being involved.
Thank you. And Marin, we've talked a lot about racing, but we mentioned that you've done some acting, and obviously you've helped us put together a children's book. What else do you dream about doing one day? Maybe besides some more races with your dad.
Ironman.
An Ironman when I'm 18.
An Ironman.
I like that. Yes. Man, what if somebody came up to you?
I don't really have that.
Man, if somebody came up to you and they didn't know about KPF, in your words, how would you explain what KPF is?
I guess I would explain it as like a foundation that helps families that have people with disabilities, and it helps give money to the families, raise money for chairs, and helps the families in a lot of ways.
To be included.
And to be included. And I think I'm going to pass it over to Dad so he can finish the sentence.
No, I think the inclusion factor is the fact that we all get to race. We all start at the beginning of the starting line. We're all.
We got the Zoom freeze, but when Marin comes back, I'll read that last comment to her. But if you guys do have a few questions, if you do want to put them in there, we wanted to share this story with you guys. Greg has told us in subsequent conversations over the years what a life-altering experience it was for Marin, for himself, for his family to meet KPF and so many other families that are doing so many wonderful things. But equally as impactful for us, two young guys, Kyle and I, that didn't know how to run a business, let alone a nonprofit. And Greg came in at a time and has taught us many valuable lessons, and is a big part of the reason that the KPeasey Foundation has been able to have the success that it has. So we're incredibly appreciative to Greg, to you as well, Marin.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks.
So Marin, there's a comment. I don't think you can see it, but somebody just wrote, "Marin, you're an awesome young lady." So I could not agree with that more.
I agree with that more.
I agree with that one. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We'd love to continue to share these with you guys. These are obviously interesting times for us all, but if there's many good things that come of it, one is for us to create this connection and to share these stories, because there's so many wonderful families that are part of the KPeasey Foundation. And Kyle asked Marin, how he might describe it. Kyle and I sometimes describe it to each other as if has that wonderful feel and that connection that so many of us crave. So we greatly appreciate you guys being part of our family and the fabric of what makes so special.
Guys, we really appreciate, all the, it is a family, and that's what I think of it as, the friendships and the families that we've all created is incredibly meaningful to all of us. So, really appreciate you guys giving us the platform here this week and the microphone, and look forward to getting back on the wheels.
Kyle, anything from you, bud?
No, I guess we're just so glad that that you are a part of our family, and you continue to do great things with school and with racing and whatever you do. I know you're a very talented lady. You do a whole lot for the community, so get to keep up with your work, okay?
Okay.
Well, guys, thank you so much. And